Hi, and welcome to this short video about pedagogy at St Leonards College. I'll give you an overview about some of the work we've been doing over the last few years in the teaching and learning space and some of our plans for the future. So I really like the work of Simon Sinek, and he always talks about starting with why. And when I started at St Leonards College about 4 years ago now, I interviewed quite a few of our staff and had a chat to them about what they saw as our pedagogical values. And you can see them up on the screen there. This is what they came up with. And really, innovation was one of those key things. At St Leonards, we've been innovating for many years now. We were one of the first schools to go co-ed back in the 1970s. We were also one of the first schools to introduce a systemized outdoor education program. We introduced the International Baccalaureate diploma really early on. I think the first school in Victoria to do that as well. So we do see innovation for innovation's sake as something terrific. And I often encourage our staff members to investigate different pedagogies, different ideas, try them out in the classroom, see how they go, report back to other teachers, because actually with that energy of innovation, it creates a brilliant learning environment for our students. The second one you can see on that diagram there is authentic, caring relationships. And we always say to our new staff that authenticity is so important. Be your true self. There is no St. Leonard's teacher we're trying to make you into. Be who you are, and you'll bring that lovely energy of yourself to the classroom and use that to develop those caring relationships with our students. And finally, the empowered thinking learners strand. We talk a lot about student agency at the college, about letting them design curriculum, letting them make choices about their own learning, and also involving some of that metacognitive understanding when it comes to their learning. So empowering them and also making them really thinking learners. Every year, to support those pedagogical values, we come up with some learning spotlights. And just to give you an understanding of some of the work we've done over the last 3 or 4 years, that's up on the screen there. So in 2023, we looked at assessment, we looked at the connections of learning, and in fact, we took on Atlas, which is this brilliant piece of curriculum planning software where all of our curriculum is planned, and it allows us to monitor how curriculum is connected. We also looked at differentiation. We looked at using technology effectively. And in fact, in 2025, we've also continued to look at technology, in particular, generative AI, and done a lot of work in that particular area. And we've looked at teaching the finest material, really auditing our curriculum to see, is this the material that is going to nurture a love of learning and really form young intellectual beings who are here at the college. We've looked at this year embedding well-being in all learning, and as I mentioned, generative AI. Some of the pedagogical work we do here is through Dr. Ron Richart's Cultures of Thinking. And he came up with these fantastic thinking routines. It's been around for a while now. We've been working on this since 2011, but they're still really relevant. So the book Making Thinking Visible is a great book. It really shows teachers how to ensure those metacognitive strategies are being used in their classrooms. Ron's been to the school on a few occasions, most recently to work with our academic directorate. And these are his cultural forces, as he described them, that define our classrooms. And we've looked at language, we've looked at environment, we've looked at questioning and interactions, and in particular in our year 5 and 6, we've looked at routine. So this as a vocabulary for our pedagogy, we've found really, really helpful. Part of that is also this idea of concept-based curriculum design. So when we design curriculum, we look at the concept behind it. We don't teach a topic. For example, we don't teach the First Fleet as a topic. We might teach the concept of justice, and then we might explore the facts of the First Fleet through that concept of justice and or injustice. That's a much more interesting and more inspiring, and perhaps a way of making our students think even more about what they're being taught rather than just memorizing particular facts. And we've also done a lot of work with David Perkins's book, FutureWise, and talked about his concept of life-worthy learning. And in fact, when we were teaching the finest material, that particular learning spotlight last year certainly focused on life-worthy learning. What will shape our young students for their life? We break into what we call ILCs, innovative learning communities, to explore some of these issues. And you get into an ILC, you have an ideation around what you would like to change at the school, what program you would like to initiate, and then you go through a process that we give you to actually explore that, come up with some sort of tangible product at the end, something you actually deliver to our students, and then assess that tangible product. And so those ILCs we run every year or two. We present our findings to the rest of the staff in small groups, and they really enhance the teaching and learning here at St Leonards College. Another program we run is our supported professional reflection. This is much more of a personal program, so it's very much about us as individuals. We work with our direct line managers, could be a head of learning, and we work with those people to work on what we want to do in our own careers. What's our next step? What professional learning could we explore as part of our professional learning and development? And that's our supported professional reflection plan. We take all of our staff through that plan step by step to ensure that they feel as though they're making those required steps in their career, and also they're improving their practice. And in terms of professional learning, there's a lot available. We've got a nice system for you guys to understand. You essentially go on to Schoolbox, you click on that professional development tab, and then you submit a PL request. And that PL request comes through to me, and I look at it and see, would that support you and also support the school? That's linked to your supported professional reflection, but it could also just be linked to teaching. You know, there's some great IB diploma courses out there, just linked to the courses that you might be teaching in the IB, or VCE teaching as well. There's also some really lovely literacy training out there ready for more aimed at primary teachers. So there's a lot available in Victoria and in Melbourne that we can leverage and that we can access. So certainly apply for that. Talk to your heads of learning or your line managers to make an application for professional learning. In the leadership space, this is really exciting. I'm currently working with RMIT to develop a professional learning leadership course aimed at middle leaders, aspiring leaders, and this course will actually have points towards an education master's or maybe even an MBA. And there are lots of resources available for you here at the college. So we have a Schoolbox site where you can go on, you can find resources that other people have posted. There are professional readings. There's lots of these short YouTube clips that you can watch in regards to professional learning. We've got a whole professional learning website that you can go onto, includes a huge amount of information about special educational needs, for example, but also lots of other areas of learning within that. And there is this application process that I spoke to you about that you can apply for external PL. I introduce the Innovator e-newsletter once a term that goes out to all of our staff. And we have our Atlas, which was what I mentioned earlier, the curriculum planning resource, where you can actually map all curriculum around the whole school and see what's being taught and see if you can actually link and connect some of that learning to your practice within the classroom. And of course, there's me and your mentor. All new staff members are given a mentor, and me in my position as Director of Pedagogy and Professional Learning, come and see me, have a chat, and we can make sure that St Leonards is great for you in your career, but also the pedagogy and the teaching and learning that goes on here is great for our students. Thanks.